It's finally time to talk about Warcraft 3 Reforged, with specific details of what's actually happening. Mike Ybarra said that we should expect something in June. It is now June, and we now have basically the thing that we expected. What perhaps we maybe didn't expect is they do seem to have some plans for continued development on this game. And I've got to say, there's also a particularly interesting potential explanation for why all of this happened that has been percolating around.
Yeah, there is...
Makes sense.
There's definitely, especially when it comes to the kind of underpinnings of what's going on at Blizzard, there's always more than meets the eye. And that absolutely comes directly into your brain when you think, here's features that we promised 2 years ago.
Yes.
Here's features that we showed you were almost done in 2020. Very good.
That's where it gets bizarre. I think it's where a lot of people are just going to be wondering, wait, what? Why? None of this makes intuitive sense to us as consumers. So, this is a major patch-ish? Well, they say the first of multiple updates coming this year for Warcraft 3 Reforged, right? So, number one off the bat, they are saying they'll be doing more. This patch is going to include ranked play, player profiles, leaderboards, and more.
And I think the...
Just like the Overwatch 2 Founders Pack, we have and more as an anticipated feature.
And I think the and more here literally boils down to campaign adjustments.
Yes.
Which, to be fair, there did seem to be pretty serious balance problems in the Reforged campaign. Not the original campaign, because the Reforged campaign is designed differently. And these updates are coming to the Reforged campaign. So if you're playing in original graphics, that doesn't matter. It kind of shows how messy this project is, that they have two SKUs of campaign based on graphics.
Everything's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
So, here is a screenshot from Back to Warcraft, who did a video on the public test realm of this new patch. Here we can see ranked. And, hey, that's pretty sweet.
That's very nice.
That looks really nice.
Hopefully it doesn't have the performance issues that most of the menus especially had at launch. It doesn't appear to. People are still a little bit upset about that, but yeah.
If I think about if this was me playing StarCraft 2, this looks vaguely what I'd expect. Happy days. Now, funny enough, this is what they showed off 2 years ago. Now, obviously, creating a UI mock-up is really quite easy compared to this being a fully functioning piece of UI where the buttons actually do things. But still, this was posted in 2020. Well, 2020.
Yeah.
Right, so this was posted 2 years ago. And this is what it looks like now.
There's some changes, yeah.
Yeah, some changes, but by and large, it is indeed highly, highly, highly similar. This obviously raises a few eyebrows. If this looked to be in a near complete state in 2020, why is it taking this long? I think there's a few answers. One of them could be that the UI was in a nearly complete state, but shit didn't work. Wasn't built yet. Could be that.
Could be.
But even at that, shouldn't take 2 years.
Definitely not.
From Kyvax, who made a post after Reforged's launch, we have this. Another area of concern we're seeing regarding online features such as leadership, or leaderboards and clans, which applies to all War3 players, including those who haven't purchased Reforged. BlizzCon, we talked a lot about how the team is actively working on standing up backend to ensure a smooth transition to this new MMR system, much like we did with StarCraft Remastered. And as with Remastered, these and other features will be included in a major patch for Reforged, which will also address issues for players of the original game. The team is hard at work. Now, for a little bit of a timeline here, this is from the
OC Drummer?
Yep, OC Drummer. So it comes out 2020. There's a post about profiles, July 22nd. The last patch for this game comes out April 14th, 2021. Since then, we've had a Bloomberg article claiming a new team is working in the game, July 22nd. And then we've had Mike Ybarra mentioning things, where on his stream on the 14th of March, we are working on War 3, and I'll ping the team. April 24th, I think you will hear from the team pretty soon on plans. And then, of course, his tweet on the 28th of May. Once again, OC Drummer, thank you for putting together that timeline.
Yes, so that's the answer. How long did this take? It didn't take 2 years. Despite Kyvax saying the team was hard at work, we know the team was dismantled in October 2020, which means it was about 10 months of Team 1's original work. And then from 2021 to now, from the new team, so not exactly 2 years, but about 21 months of active team actively developing according to what numbers we have from Blizzard. So apparently it's taking not 24 months of 2 years, but 21 months of work to get these in, despite them being visually close to finished.
And this is why we've got to try to sort out what's going on, because no doubt you're as confused as we are at this stage. Well, so here's Bloomberg's report on a new team. This was July 22nd, 2021. The Blizzard spokesman said the company has a new team dedicated to updating Warcraft 3 Reforged with improvements. These efforts, we realize, our work and our actions will speak louder than our words. Across many projects, we've made process and, blah, blah, blah. Everything's better. Now, across many projects, who knows? But now, with the context of a team apparently being assigned to this project, as of that time last year, we then have the shocking revelation.
Yeah, because I was thinking, okay, well, maybe because the team was dismantled in 2020, clearly the work wasn't finished and ready. So you need another team to come in. You need another team to pick up what's been done, maybe finish them off, because there's no chance they just left stuff unpushed. Because especially if you're working in that environment, you would definitely go, this is now feature complete, it's finished, it's tested, ship. You wouldn't leave it on the counter for 6 months until your team gets canned, right? But then I was looking around, I was like, oh, there's a full changelog of the balance updates for the campaign. Okay, maybe that's interesting. Maybe there's something interesting happening. So I went through them, and then I was like, okay, cool. I wonder how this guy knows them. Okay, this is Cam. Oh, I see a reply post. You're working at Blizzard again, Cam? Oh, Cam was one of the ex-Hive Workshop, or one of the Hive Workshop people who was hired to work on Warcraft 3 Reforged back in, I think he was hired in 2017 to work all this. And I just, no, this work was all done while I was there, which means the work that we're seeing now being published was actually done when Cam was working on Reforged. And based on going and seeing a couple different Reddit comment timings of him saying when he left, or I think it's the day, or like left, that was, I think, 17 months ago, at least. So all of these campaign things, all these campaign balance updates have been finished and not changed in 17 months since Cam left.
So evidently, maybe they leave, the team gets shut down or whatever.
Yep.
And it's quite literally a situation where this stuff doesn't get brought to completion, I assume because no one is assigned to do it.
That's definitely the case, which does really bring you to wonder, what have that team been doing since July 2021?
If all of this stuff was done by the original team and not any of this new stuff. I mean, maybe the new team had to do a little bit of work to get it all tied up in a bow and ready for ship, but
still 10 months for that? That's a lot of months.
So if we were to speculate, well, one thing, Vicarious Visions, now known as Blizzard Albany, they are the remaster experts, of course, D2R, Tony Hawk, etc. They're there.
Yeah, they have no project that we're aware of, as far as I can recall.
I think other than just D4, major development.
Yeah, they're doing stuff in D4 and they're doing stuff in D2R, because I think that still is getting decent post-launch support. So I think, okay, well, maybe they have some spare room to go in the Warcraft 3 stuff. But then I'm thinking, you would announce that if you're Blizzard, right? You would go, from the developers who brought you the beautiful D2R that everyone loved as a true resurrected version of Diablo 2, they're on Warcraft 3 Reforged. They'll fix it for you. They're the people who you know can fix. They would announce that, right? And they would either announce that or they would hold it for like a really rainy day, which I would have assumed would have been before any of these things come up, because everyone's kind of sitting wondering, who's the Warcraft 3 team? Just random? Is it Blizzard? Well, that doesn't make sense. So you think they would announce that? So if they haven't announced it, then it mustn't be them. That's my logic anyway. So then you think, okay, well, I've been following the job listings, largely speaking, and Blizzard haven't been hiring anyone for a classic team. They haven't been hiring anyone for an RTS. And to be fair, if they were trying to hire for an RTS, I imagine one of the many other studios like Uncapped or Frostgiant would try to poach ahead of them with all their angel investor money. But they just haven't been hiring people for this. And we know they're also hiring for the World of Warcraft team. So they can't be taking people from World of Warcraft to work on Warcraft. That wouldn't make any sense at all.
And funny enough, some of the roles they're hiring on Warcraft are outsourcing producers.
Exactly. Which leads us to the one final option of who must be making Warcraft 3 Reforged, this new Warcraft 3 team that Micah Barr talks about. And it has to be outsources. Has to be outsourced team. Either that or there were people at Blizzard who weren't doing anything and are now doing it. But that doesn't make any sense. So it must be outsourced team. And Bloomberg themselves actually suggested that as well. And I don't think Jason Schreier would suggest something kind of out of hand without some sort of vague inclination.
Likely heard something,
Yeah.
So basically then, if there's an outsourcing team working on this, what have they been doing?
Mm-hmm.
Does it really take 10 months for this? So essentially, you could say, right, they've been working for about a year and they have more things to announce or release, or they just haven't been working and they've just picked it up and are a decently new team. Some could say that the second thing there is a lot more likely, because one of the thoughts is, why is Clans not going live now when it's been worked on for a year?
Yeah, that's one of the other things where Clans wasn't one of the things announced or finished back in 2020. That wasn't talked about at all. It was just ranked play and profiles and leaderboards. But then, in a response to a Back to Warcraft tweet, this person pointed out that there was a tooltip on live that says clans have been disabled and will return in the future. That tooltip is no longer there. So that implies that the tooltip is needed, which implies clans will be coming back, but they haven't been announced for this patch.
Yeah.
Which means they must be going up in another patch. But if they're finished and they're not in this patch, then if they're done, then why aren't they here? You've been working on them for almost a year. Surely they'd be ready by now. You would hope so. So unless this is going to be a rapid fire series of updates, which I don't think it will be, because it said, come back later, no specific date, no specific time, and multiple this year, it could be a couple of months. And everything about that implies to me that whatever's going on, they've only started working on this fairly recently.
Well, so the two things to do, number one, break down this patch. We're about to do. And then also there is what Blizzard's Blue Post announcing this said, where they just say, we plan to continue to work on delivering multiple updates this year. Rather than simply telling you, we plan to show you. Yeah. So I think they understand with this that they're in more of a No Man's Sky-like situation, where if they kind of give out roadmaps and stuff and they end up not being able to follow it, it's going to look exceedingly bad. So I think instead they just want to prove to people by showing them. So either it is the case that this outsourcing team is now here. They've basically pushed what the original team did, and now they are working ahead on these updates that are going to be coming out throughout the year. Actually, I think that's probably what's likely. Yeah. It is just a case of how long has that team actually been working on this stuff, and it's impossible to confirm.
Yeah, it's impossible to confirm, but if I really hope for their sake, this hasn't been all the work they've done the last 10 months.
I highly doubt it.
I hope they've got either something else ready to go, or if they are starting recently, they're starting recently and going hard.
Well, thinking about how long it takes to actually make shit, if they are saying that they've got multiple things planned this year, almost certainly they've been working on those things. Yeah, and with this, it's just choosing, at what point do you, at what point do you actually just start this campaign?
Yep.
And as for the patch itself, it's good that it's there. Certainly not all is great. So this is from Back to Warcraft's video, which is comparing the feature sets between Warcraft 3 and Warcraft 3 Champions. Warcraft 3 Champions, of course, is the community-built ladder system. Things like this have existed, say, in other games like Age of Empires 2, and have really helped to keep those games alive in the long run. So what they've done is awesome. And of course, it's made, by the community, for the community, so it's going to have a very deep understanding of what the community actually wants.
Yep.
Which can then be tricky when, of course, Blizzard maybe does their more official version and it ends up not having everything the community
there's one little bit that I think this is honestly a little bit silly, but it was also something that genuinely came into our heads and we were thinking about this, and it is that Blizzard are making good on promises they made on this game before launch.
Yeah.
And that could be, obviously that does mean, hey, community, we're sorry these aren't ready, here they are. It took a while, but they're here. We're sorry, etc., etc. But it also does kind of keep them a little bit more defensible from a class action lawsuit, which is just to keep in mind when you think about company motives for doing things. That's a very cynical view and not one I actually hold, just a possibility that I thought about.
Well, so if we look at these, right, we've got from Blizzard 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, 4v4, free-for-all. You have similar, but then also just a little bit more, and also custom games.
Custom games ladder is a really, really cool feature for Legion TD and stuff like that. It's really fun.
Map pool. Yep. Basically, the Champions one's bigger.
Yep, it's bigger, and it's rotated ones out that the community aren't really fond of.
Yeah.
And that's a case of just, there's creation there. that curation doesn't exist in Warcraft 3 because there's no one updating that. It's just, here's what has been in stone for years.
Servers.
Yeah, this one's pretty major.
Yeah, 26 around the world with global matchmaking for champions. 3 for official with regional matchmaking.
Yep. I mean, I think people kind of look at this the same way as they look at the ESEA system for CSGO, where it's like Valve's matchmaking, full of cheaters, bad for server ping, stuff like that. The third-party version is just a genuinely better experience because it's done by people who have the resources and the agility to set these things up. Just hire a server, connect it up, there you go. There you have somewhere in the middle between, I guess an example, you would have something for the like Australian players there. You could have a server for that. Or you could pick a server between, say, US West and US... Actually, even US West. How many people are in US East? And are just like, oh yeah, I'd like to play some Warcraft, 100 ping. Sweet.
Yeah.
Versus just get one server over that direction, save everyone's player. The whole thing that Riot had to deal with for years and years and years, to the point they went and just built their own internet infrastructure. But yeah.
Then we go to the features.
Yep.
I think this is pretty damn major. So, base game, right? No reconnect. Stats are very, stats provided very basic, and the fixed zoom at 1650. Of course, competitive players often will want to get as much zoom as they can. So on champions, you've got variable zoom, reconnect being supported, which is massive, more detailed stats, and then in-game observation.
Yeah, and just...
These are all essential things.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's a thing where, like, obviously I would initially have come in and go, okay, well, why are Blizzard making competition to a community thing that's way better? But I think from... what I've seen Warcraft the Champions players and staff say, they don't really consider it competition. They're hoping it acts more like a funnel, where BNet is like, okay, BNet is now a bit more functional, has ranked. People go there and play and go, this is some issues, and then someone in a game goes, why are you not playing in War3 Champions instead? And that's the kind of thing of, hopefully that's how that ultimately goes.
Yeah. Now, this is the first bit of positive news this game has had in ages, right? Now, this is a bit of positive news that also has got some interesting timing. So on July 3rd, we are going to have the 20th anniversary. Blizzard will probably want to do something. They certainly will want people to know that the game is going to be looked after. Now we kind of know that. So what are they setting this up for? That's basically the question. You really liked OC Drummer's speculation, which basically is, do they do Warcraft Battle Chest? Get rid of the Reforged tagline, put in Warcraft 1 and 2, make that a whole big sort of celebration thing. What would have been ideal, though, is if they still had a classic team that could take Warcraft 1 and Warcraft 2 and change it. Maybe increase the total number of units you can have in a controller, sort of actually grab at once. Maybe some things like that. Of course, if you look at StarCraft Remastered, it is gorgeous and still totally keeping with what StarCraft 1 should look like. That was done by Lemon Sky, the same people who did the assets for War3 Reforged, which just shows that it wasn't really Lemon Sky's fault. It was just the project specs and the direction that they were given that evidently they worked to and Blizzard signed off on. But we haven't really seen any evidence of anything being done to Warcraft 1 and 2. And I think some people would maybe say that just compared to StarCraft, they're just too old. Some people might say that too. Anyway, who knows what's going on with this new team. Apparently they broke music outside of campaigns in the PTR, but I imagine that kind of thing will be fixed for when it goes live.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing where it's like, I saw someone go, oh, well, this kind of shows that their point about this was they're clearly not doing exceedingly good testing, because if you break music and that's not picked up by automated testing, then you clearly don't have automated testing good enough. And that's the kind of thing of, that seems like haste. That doesn't seem like a very well designed process. Obviously, it could just be a small thing gone wrong that we're not sure about, as opposed to completely doomsaying over the head of it. But it does kind of make you go,
It's probably just a flag being flipped somewhere.
Yeah.
I imagine it's a very small, extremely easy to fix thing that's not major.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like because I will say immediately my response to this was, is this all? Is this it?
They want you to know that the answer to that is no.
Yeah, the one that answer to that is no.
They
and
say it here in their blog post.
Yeah, and I've been seeing, I was kind of looking to see a little bit of community interaction to see, are people upset? Are people happy? And what I've seen is people who are very interested in the overall narrative of Blizzard are kind of falling in line with what my initial thought was, which is that all? Where's the apology? Where's the promises of massive changes? Whereas a lot of the people who are actually in the Warcraft 3 community and are actually playing the game at War3 Champions, stuff like that, are going, good. I'm trying to remember the quote. It was back to Warcraft said in this video, put it in a really, really good way, which was, we don't forgive you, but when you're ready to talk, we're here. And that's an extension of this, where it's like they are just happy to see movement in their game. They're happy to see that something might actually happen from Blizzard. Maybe they'll get some graphical updates. Maybe they'll get an improved version. But anything's better than silence, and they love the game regardless.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly it. And yeah, like I'm there for the default skepticism. I think it's just important to have clarity in that. So the skepticism is on the suits who wound down the classic games team, who are responsible for this thing being a total travesty, and who are responsible for whatever organizational issues meant that this patch content did not come earlier. But then the problem is you don't want to have splash damage from that then hits the new Warcraft 3 Reforged team that are probably wanting to fix this thing up and have it be a respectful version of Warcraft 3 as soon as they can. Ultimately, though, it's good for the community, and this is a vital piece of work that Blizzard will have to do to get their reputation back. People have been assigned to it, so they're trying. The question is, how far will they go? And they don't plan to tell us. They plan to show us when it's ready. Which I think, that's only a line that people roll out whenever they know, okay, shit's bad. The only thing that we can do is proof. We're not even going to bother talking. That's just like them saying, look, we know we've burnt this bridge. We now need to come with a fucking fully constructed bridge to show you that we've done it.
Yeah.
And that just is what it is. So that is the situation with Warcraft 3 Reforged. I think we are looking at pretty good news here. No massive promises yet. Don't get unreasonably excited for this. But I think at least take some satisfaction that there is some change in this story that's in the right direction. So that's from us. See you next time.